And welcome back into the ConcordTV studio for another episode of Community Conversations. I'm your host, Josh Hardy. You all have had to see me in the studio many times, so I try to bring in interesting guests who can fill that time so that you're not hearing from me, but from other community members. And I'm so excited. I believe somehow this is her first time on a ConcordTV studio program. I'm so glad to have my friend Tanya Frost here. She's from the Boys and Girls Club of Central and Northern New Hampshire. Tanya, welcome onto the program. And you were asking, I don't mind saying this because this is just community media, you were asking, where do I look? You do not have to look at the cameras if you don't want to.
Excellent.
If it's like a fear of heights but a fear of cameras, you do not have to look at the cameras.
Perfect.
Tanya, thanks for being on the program.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit your role with the Boys and Girls Club, because it's not like you are not working as a teacher or child development. You have a really special role with the club and advancing its mission and ensuring long-term stability. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've been with the organization for 5.5 years now. Started out running the events, and now I oversee the development department. So marketing, fundraising, events, social media. And yeah, you're right. We have a really fun job of getting out into the community and meeting with our supporters and raising money, throwing events, golf tournaments, parties, that kind of thing, and engaging with our donors and our support team out there in the community.
Right. And your job is being out there. And for the club, which has been growing and expanding, tell us a little bit about how that process and kind of the ongoing process of the club, same mission, same purpose here in Central New Hampshire, but about some of that expansion and growth that you guys have had.
Absolutely. I mean, our mission is to provide that safe space for kids, right? So that at the end of the day, that's what all of our staff are there for. But yeah, we started in 1944 with the one club. To try and get
here in Concord.
Here in Concord by the Concord Police Benevolent Association. And you know, it was to get the boys at the time off the street between that witching hour of 3 to 6 after school, before dinner type thing. And today, fast forward, we are the Boys and Girls Clubs of Central and Northern New Hampshire with 30 active sites throughout the state, from pretty much, we call it like the tolls north at this time. And we are, what makes us a little unique is we also do infant care. So we start taking children from 6 weeks up through age 18.
Is that at certain club locations, or all the locations have infant care, or certain select locations?
Certain ones. So we've got a few here in the Concord region. So Eastman School, Bradley Street, and Pennacook Community Center are our main ones for the Concord region. Suncook has a toddler program as well. So yeah.
I would imagine that's a massively popular program for parents and families with infants, because families are trying to figure out getting back to work and trying to figure out how to balance that work life. So infant care service, it seems like it would be wildly popular.
It is, and it's one of those things, you know, you've got parents putting their kids on wait lists before they've even had the baby, because you got to plan ahead, and it's hard to find, you know, quality childcare, and that's what we strive to provide.
That they can trust that it's a well-trusted, established organization with that strong mission that we talked about. Now, how does it work for families, like financially, going to the club, where there's kind of a fee, an annual fee or a monthly fee where they sign up for any of the club services, right?
Yeah, there are definitely fees for all the locations. Obviously, different ranges for early versus after school or out of school time, but there is financial assistance available. So we want to make sure that you know, people know about that, because we don't want to scare people away, right? I mean, we have to charge, but we want to make sure we are there for anyone who needs us.
Right, exactly. Now, how has the club been faring just in terms of, we've been talking with a lot of nonprofits about some of the things happening on a national level, whether it's with grants or with some of our federal funding, or here in New Hampshire with state funding and our state budget process going on right now. It seems like the club has positioned itself pretty well, but tell us a little bit about sort of why the club is in a really great position right now.
Yeah, so we've got a phenomenal grant writer. Let's just start there. Emily, she's been with us for, I believe, just over 20 years now.
She's helped us with auction and things like that.
Yeah, she's run the gamut in jobs with the club, but her sweet spot is really focusing on those grants and her knowledge base of where to go, and if it's something in particular, like it's not just for scholarships. If it's for this site wants to run this art program, is there a scholarship out there for that? The Pinnacle Community Center does a Junk to Funk program, and we were able to get a grant for that as well. So Emily is instrumental in that. And this is where I joke, I've got to give Chris some kudos because
we have to.
Yeah,
Yep, we have to.
Because he's done a great job setting us up where not all of our funding comes from one thing. We've got a phenomenal donor base, from local companies to just local individuals that support us. I mean, I know you've supported us over the years as well. Our community connections and relationships are just such a wide range, and it's great. So there is some state level funding that we lean on for state aid, but it's not true federal in some ways, right? So he's done a great job with that.
Yeah, we have to give Chris credit, and I've known him for quite a few years and know the enthusiasm and the passion he still has for the organization today is admirable. And I think you guys have built this coalition of support I think that any nonprofit should look at. I know at Concord TV we look at that model too of building your supporters and the people who see the value in the mission. Mm-hmm. It's not just kids who used to go to the club. You certainly have that. Your alums who they were kids who went through the club and now they're adults and they give back and volunteer. You have your SIMOs and people like that.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of people in your coalition of support are just people in Concord and now statewide north of the tolls who just see the value in the mission and see how important childcare is for our whole kind of ecosystem, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we, John and Chris and several board members and a couple supporters, I want to say it was about 14 years ago now, got involved in this program to help us kind of grow this, sustainability in our donors and our friends. And one of the things we do at the club, which are so fun, and we'd love to do more of them, is what we call discovery hours. And someone would host it. So if I asked you to host it, you'd bring a handful of people. It's strictly an educational hour for you to learn about us. We just want to be able to spread the word of the good that we're doing for the youth in the communities that we serve. And there's no ask. We're not asking you for money. We're just trying to grow our friend base. And you hear stories from a few of our staff members of a connection or an impact that they had on one of our members and a family. And I mean, I'm a sap anyways, but I still get emotional when I hear these stories, even though I've heard them, many, many times. They're heartwarming. Knowing that our staff is doing this and having this impact on these kids and families is wonderful.
Yeah. So you have all the discovery days, which are great, and those opportunities. There are events. There's a whole bunch of events, and I know your purview is so much more than just events. But what are, I know there's a golf tournament last week. Maybe tell us about sort of how that went. And you can't go wrong with a golf tournament for a good cause.
You really can't, especially when Mother Nature blessed us with the weather that we had last week.
How did you guys dodge that?
She owed me a favor from having to reschedule, I think, last year. But it was a wonderful tournament. It was our 45th year here in Concord. Yep. Just almost full boat. So we have a lot of teams, a lot of players. We're looking at about 140 or so. So it's a lot of people on the course at one time.
Which club do you guys, which golf course?
Beaver Meadow.
Beaver Meadow.
Yep. So they're phenomenal to work with. They're a great partner. And I know Phil's no longer there, but Josh and Trevor have done a great job, just keeping up and just doing the good things over there and running it smoothly.
With that many golfers and that many groups where everyone starts at a different hole and then rotates around, right?
It's a little organized chaos.
Organized chaos, controlled chaos. You got the drink cart going around.
Oh yeah.
All that good stuff too.
Yeah.
So you guys came close to your marks, or it's not just about having a fun day, but also a fundraising day too.
Absolutely, and we do raffles and some contest holes, and we have a silent auction, and people love it. We don't make it too complicated because sometimes you can get too in the weeds with all of those things. But all the golfers just had a great time. I had no complaints. I had tons of high fives and hugs at the end of the day, and
sunburns, but no complaints.
Hey, no complaints. No complaints. Better than rain.
You make a good point though about not getting things too complicated or too, and that's a really great point. Not that I've seen nonprofits doing this, but you can imagine where you throw too many activities, and people are just too distracted by too many things, or it's too overwhelming, or it's hard to run a great event if you have 80 different things that are hard to manage, right?
Absolutely. And there's so many unique ways to raise money and so many be it a golf tournament contest that you could do, or be it a gala, ways you can have the auction and all these other things, but you want people to enjoy their time. You know, they go into it knowing it's a fundraiser, right? But we want them to experience a nice afternoon or a nice night or whatever the case may be, so that they want to come back and they can spread the word of a good time that they had at a Boys and Girls Club event.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So other events coming up. So am I correct? You guys have a little bit of a gap here where you can have a quick breather, or does it pretty much head right back into the next series of different events?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple weeks, I think, before we've got 2 breakfast events in June, 2 golf tournaments in June. July's kind of slow, so that'll be something to look forward to.
But then we should talk about the Champions for Kids Breakfast, which is on June 17th. You guys do that over at still at St. Paul's School, right? Tell us a little bit about what goes on at that.
Yeah, so the Champions for Kids Breakfast, it is an event where we are making a pitch to ask for donations. But it's a 1 hour where we get to bring some of our new friends and some of our old friends together in a room, get a free breakfast. There's no cost to attend and no obligation to give. It's just if you are so moved to, we are grateful for that. And you hear a couple presentations. Chris will kind of give an overview, and then we have a couple supporters and maybe even one of our members speak, because we talked earlier before we came in here about our Youth of the Year program, and that candidate hopefully will come and present their speech to the group. And it's just, again, it's another opportunity for people in the community to learn about us too, and the work that we're doing and the growth that we've seen. And and that event really is like a who's who. You go in and connect with people you haven't seen in a while. Oh yeah, it's old home day.
It is old home day. And then I don't know if you do this every single year, but when I've been, that the kids are there too, high-fiving everyone coming in. So it's like, how could you not? That's the best.
It's our little trade secret.
Nobody hypes you up like that for any other conference I've been to or other meeting. There aren't people giving me high fives on the way in. They're usually kicking me out, you know? So it's that kind of welcome. It's one of my favorite events, just because, you know, that the kids are there. Usually they're at like the tables too, so you get to kind of meet the kids who are impacted by the Boys and Girls Club. Absolutely. Like I said, it's a little trade secret, but it's the most positive feedback that anyone gives from that event is having the opportunity to just sit with one of our members, or maybe 2 at your table, and just talk with them for a few minutes during breakfast. It really is the best part. So once we get through July and into August, what are a couple other things you guys have that you're looking forward to? So, you know, we touched upon having 30 active sites, and they're not all here in Concord. So we are kind of broken into regional areas now. So we got Lakes region, we have the Kearsarge Sunapee region, Greater Concord to include Suncook, and then we've got the North Country, Berlin. I mean, a little bit of that umbrella up at the top of the state. So for August, the first weekend, so August 2nd and 3rd, we have our big gala. This is turning into a really fun event. I think this is our 6th year, and it's at the grounds of Nick Gruhl, a supporter of ours, and he's got this amazing property. He's a big car aficionado, an entrepreneur up there. And he lends us his property, and we throw a gala with about 200 people. It is a fundraiser, but it's a dinner where we last year were able to get Chris Viad with Greenleaf Catering, and he was a 2 times James Beard nominee, and he was a contestant on Top Chef several years back. So must have been pretty good. So got a great chef there, and he'll be back this year. A new MC this year. We're really excited to bring on board Scott Spradling Band. So he's going to kind of help run the show a little bit, and it's always a theme. Nick picks, you know, a car and a decade. So this year is the 1930s Art Deco. So people come dressed up in the theme, and we've got, like I said, a dinner. We do an auction and a little fundraiser, and then the band goes on and people dance the night away. I was amazed because I always thought of growing up in New Hampshire, Scott Spradling as the guy, the WMUR reporter, the guy on TV. And I was at a different event where his band performed, and you know, it just, the way people have so many different talents like that. That band is terrific, and he does a great job. We're really excited to have him with us this year. That's awesome. So what should folks in the community be thinking about when it comes to the Boys and Girls Club? The organization's future plans. I know, I'm sure if you guys have things in the plan, you know, maybe you can't give away all the big secrets or anything like that, but what can the community look forward to, and what can they do to further support the work that you guys are doing?
ask questions. If you what do you want to know about the club? Get educated on it so that when you're out talking with people, you got that young family that's starting their family, you can suggest us, have them go to our website, nhyouth.org, and just check us out, or call me and talk to me. I'm open book, and I love to just engage with new people. And but you never know what Chris is going to try and open next.
You never know. Keeps you on your toes.
He sure does, but it's all for good. It's the communities reaching out to us, hearing the good we're doing in their neighboring community and saying, okay, what can you do here? And that's just humbling, right? To know that it's word of mouth that is really our key thing that gets us out in the community. But, again, just learn about us.
Right. I'm sure that's the case in other states, but it feels like a very New Hampshire thing. It's always been a very Concord thing, too, is just sort of like telling people about things, word of mouth, and that's really the best way to generate organic interest. And certainly there's a lot of demand for the services that the club provides.
Absolutely.
There always will be, right?
Childcare nowadays, it's not like, 50 years ago where there might be a stay-at-home parent. That's less and less nowadays, right? You've got two working parents or single parents. They need childcare. And that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. And then are there some challenges that you could speak on, challenges that you face in the childcare industry or for the club specifically that people should maybe be aware of or know of?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much on par with many other organizations, be it for-profit or nonprofit, that staffing is a struggle right now.
Right.
To the point where, and this is not a complaint because there's like the greener grass to this, but my team in development has been covering at some sites as needed. But I love it because then when I'm out talking to a donor, I get to talk firsthand. It's not, this is what they were doing at their site.
You've seen it firsthand.
This is what I got to do with the kids last week. You know what I mean? So that's fun. But, as you and I kind of were talking a little bit before we started here, is that we want to hire quality people to ensure our mission stays on track and is sustainable. So making sure that people walking through our door meet the requirements that qualify to work with the kids and what we want.
Right. And we had said before the cameras rolled, but I think was articulate enough to bring up that like you have a standard set and you don't want to drop the standard. No industry wants to drop their standards.
Exactly.
But you want to be able to hire enough employees so that you're able to maximize what you're able to do.
Right.
So it's that challenge of we're not going to drop our expectations or our standards. Right. We need candidates who hit that bar, and certainly for folks who enjoy working with kids and being in education, you're a great place to work.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I know that it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I was in a very for-profit world in sales and was not happy. And my husband and I were in a position where I could take a step back and do something that made me feel good. And that's how I ended up here through a dear friend who you know very well, Nancy Mellett. She's like, hey, I hear they're hiring. And I ran right over and here I am.
Use your power of sales for good in the world.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a skill set that translates here as well. But this, I get to smile every day and make friends and know that when I go to bed at night, I made a connection with someone who's now going to support our mission. And that's it's a good feeling.
And you grew up in the area too, right?
Born and raised.
Born and raised. Am I correct? Concord High School?
Yeah.
You went? So this is old stomping grounds here?
It sure is. Yeah. Class of 99.
So I think that plays a big factor too when it's our fellow community members, people that we know. Not that we don't have transplants from other states and other countries, and we do love that mix of everyone, but some of the homegrown people who know the community, who know, in your case, Concord inside and out. I'm sure if you and I walked outside, you would see 8 people you know immediately.
Yeah.
I think you've honked at me before as you've driven past on Warren Street before.
I
think
have.
It was you.
Oh yeah.
So you're a great member of the community. You're someone I've looked up to in the way that you give back to the community. So
thank you.
Thanks for everything that you do.
Oh, I appreciate that, and likewise.
And I'm not just saying that.
No.
Now let's say stuff about Chris. Yeah. Let's go. Let's say something about Chris. But really, it's commendable the work you guys do, the partnership that we've had with ConcordTV and the club, obviously with Auction, but we've worked together in other capacities. We've had tours here with your one of the summer camp groups that came here for a tour. We've done that a couple times. So I love the partnerships and working together. So
Same. Yeah. And when I was fortunate enough to do the Leadership Greater Concord class a couple years ago, got to tour here, and it's just nice walking in and being like, I know you guys.
That's right. Yeah. For you to walk in and already have that. Are you from the best class ever?
Yeah.
Okay. I am too, but that's a whole
That's
other
all
topic.
right.
Yeah. So Tanya, thanks for joining the program, for
Thank you.
coming in here. And thanks to everyone for watching. This has been Community Conversations. I guess I might as well, we're recording here at kind of mid-May. As a reminder, Concord TV will be relocating over the summer. I might as well say it, I don't think I've said this on video, guys, that we will be over at Abbott Downing School from mid-June through the end of August. So just for folks to get that on their radars, that our studio location will be different at that point. We will still be doing Community Conversations. It will just look different, and it'll be because we're in a new studio. For the summer, we will be back here in the fall. So I just wanted to say that before we wrap things up. Thanks again to Tanya for being on the show, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.